things are going.
It's amazing. I mean, we can't thank the fans enough. I mean, every night I give a speech just before black metal to say how important they are. And it's true, because without the fans out there, we don't exist. It's as simple as that. Without their support, without them buying the t-shirts, the concert tickets, reading interviews, or just anything that they do to support the band, it's like having a department store and nobody walks through the door to buy anything. That store's going to close. You know, and if every music fan in the world all of a sudden on one day just decided, that's it, I'm never buying another piece of music in my life, record companies will be fucked. And I think there's a lot of bands out there as well. I'm not naming names, but there's a lot of bands who should appreciate that. You know, Gene Simmons put it perfectly. You guys are the boss, we just work here.
Yeah.
And it's true. Absolutely true.
When you have someone come to a show, it's kind of why we spend time with people, even though we may be tired. I mean, we literally came off stage last night in San Diego, and it was a very tiny side room, and I came bouncing into the side room after the show, and there was two girls standing there with a camera and showing, "Hi, I know we shouldn't be in here, it's my birthday, can we get a picture?" We'd only just played the last note. I was going, yeah, the boys are coming off, if you just stand back a bit. So we literally came off and then took a picture. I mean, you know, maybe another band would have had somebody in there to go get the fuck out of here and wait, and we were thinking, you know, okay, it was a bit strange, but it was her birthday, she was there, we can take a picture. So there you go, take a picture, and it meant a lot. Sometimes people have came with collections, you know, and they've been collecting since the 80s, since they first heard, maybe 82, 83 or stuff, and it's like, you know, they've invested their whole life in you and money in you, and they just want a quick signature or a photograph and just to tell you a little story. And that's what I love about these guys and who we are, is where we try to be respectful of that and listen. You know, even though you might have a million things to do, we always try and give them that time, because it's important. I think it's important. For us, it's another person and another collection, but for them it could be the only moment. One of the most common phrases I've heard on this part of the tour is, "I've waited," and then they fill in the gap, 30 years, 20 years, 35 years, 25 years, or whatever it is. You know, that's repetition, you know. You hear it as you're coming off stage. "Thank you so much, I waited 30 years. Thank you so much, I waited 27 years," you know. And that's amazing. Someone's waited that long to come and see you, and then you're right there. And then he walks out with his bottle of Jack after he's just come off stage, and then they're like, "Oh my God," and then they can talk and sign, and he takes a photograph. I mean, that's great to be able to give that back to the fans, you know. That's what's so wonderful about it.
Okay, so with Stone Cold classics like Warhead and Countess Bathory, it's a guaranteed good time for fans. The Victrolic delivery seals the deal with an intoxicating experience for your fans from the glory days. How would you say that fans react when they want a second encore from you guys?
I didn't understand some of those big words and stuff. What was the big words?
The words too big.
What did that mean? What did it
So there's been shows where they want, like, you guys, you know, you finish your encore and you're trying to get off stage, and then they want more.
Yes.
How does that make you feel after so many years?
That, like I said, you just don't take that for granted. We've come off stage absolutely exhausted. I mean, we're not young guys anymore, but we give everything on stage. I mean, last night I got into that dressing room and I literally fell onto my guitar case. I thought I was going to pass out. I had to grab a bottle of water, go straight into the toilet, pour it all over me, and then walk back out on stage for another encore. But they deserve it. You know, as long as they go crazy, we'll go crazy, and we'll give everything possible. And you know, when they're screaming for more, and we did it. What was it? The first time we did it, we hadn't even played in League with Satan for so many years.
Yeah.
And we stood backstage and we just looked at each other and we were just, fucking hell, listen to that. It was just Venom. They wouldn't let us go. We just looked at each other and went, in League with Satan?
Yes.
It was like, right, let's go for it, see what happens. We played through it and they sang every word.
Yeah.
It was incredible. And that's the thing that gets me as well, when you see, we've all seen it, but you know, being at the front of the stage, I've seen grown men turn to each other and hug each other. I've seen them crying, when we've kicked into songs like Live Like an Angel. Now we're doing Angel Dust and Poison. When we kick into those two songs are going down. I put them in the set because I thought, right, they're two classic songs off Well Now. They are going down
They're definitely high points. Far exceeding.
Yeah, far exceeding expectations. And I just, there's nothing complex about those songs. They're just basically it's rock and roll songs. Mm-hmm. And the audience, especially Poison, they go fucking crazy.
They never thought they were going to hear it. That's the beauty. They never thought they were going to hear it, and so to be able to do that, it is incredible to see their reaction at this scream along, and you stop at a particular point and they all sing the lyrics. It's wonderful. It's wonderful to do that.
So as you just said, it's an incredible experience. I'm sure also fans would like to hear new music as well. I know that you guys are working on some new stuff. What's the current status on that, and when do you plan to release it?
Release whenever we can, to be perfectly honest. I mean, we're talking to labels at the moment. Shut the fuck up. Thank you. But there's a lot of songs at demo stage now. There'll definitely be another album. Personally, I've decided, right, I'm just going back to sort of writing the way I used to, and that was basically blues and rock and roll riffs and stuff like that. And whatever we do to those songs, I don't know what it is, but it comes out as Venom. I've had the question so many times, how did you create that sound? How did you come up with this? I don't know. We did what we did, and it just came naturally. There was no conscious or... There was no conscious or contrived effort right at the beginning, in the early days when we put it all together, and there won't be any of that now. I think, again, personally as a songwriter, if you spend too long on a song, it's not meant to be. The song should live, it should breathe, it should write itself. I mean, black metal, written in a matter of minutes.
We kind of jam stuff in sound check, and Jeff will just start playing something, and I'll start playing along, and we'll sort of look at each other, and you get the guys from Necrophagia, you can see them talking at the bar, and they'll all stop and turn around, and they're like, what the fuck is that? And we're like, we don't know. It's just a natural thing that we do when we get in a room together, and it just comes out. And if somebody's there to record it, hopefully, then we come up with an album. That's how we've kind of done it.
It's a very instinctual process.
Very instinctual.
Very like that. Like Jeff said, there's moments where you spend more time constructing things sometimes, but I think the impetus of us three, very much like the original three members when they were doing, it was a moment. They captured moments, and that's why they're kind of unsurpassable sometimes, because it wasn't about it has to be perfect and it has to be produced and it has to be this, and I mean, of course they didn't just put shit out regardless, and the recording process at the time was a bit unusual compared to now, but to still put that feeling in, that's the only way it can happen. You can't.
When somebody buys a record, when somebody goes out and buys, black metal in 1982 or something, they create a moment and they remember that moment, and when they go home and they put it on, all of the smells around the food that they had that day, the friends they were hanging out with, the drinks they may have sort of had secretly around the back, those things stay with them, and when we come back and see them 30 years later, they want to tell you about that. Well, it's the same with us. When we're in the studio and we put that thing down, okay, there might be a little fluffier or a little fluff there, or maybe you could have played better going into the chorus, or you could have held back a bit coming out of the chorus or whatever. But the moment, if you capture that moment, then there's a synergy between you and the people that are buying it and the people that want to hear it. They get that. They can feel it. They know, especially with a band like us, that what's gone down is that instant, and they're buying into that, and they're getting a part of that, and they're going to have that for the rest of their life.
I think any drummer could play the songs. Any decent drummer could play the songs. Any decent guitarist can play the riffs. But you know, you can't, unless you're part of it, unless you feel it, unless you give yourself of it, and truly respect the material, it's not going to sound real. You know, it's going to sound passive from a player who's just playing the notation, and that's the synergy that we have, and we'll put that onto record. You know, and that's the idea, is to do an album that's honest and real and part of what we are. We've had a voice for a live album, 3 dates into a European tour. When it was the first 3 dates we'd actually done of a full set, there was an offer on the table to do a live album, and we've been being chased by labels ever since to go put a live album out if you can't get in the studio, because every time we plan to stop and maybe have a break and go into the studio, we get offered another tour or something, think, let's just go and play. And so, you know, the momentum is in spite of us, not generated by us. It's in spite of us, and we're just riding it at the minute, until we can get to a point where we can record. But we need to take who we are into the studio, and that is who we are. You know, Manchester will play a riff, Abaddon will just start to play, and I just sit straight in because I know who they are, I know where they're going, I know how it feels, and I know what feel we're going for, and that's incredible to have that, you know.
So the band's logo is very infamous sight in metal. When you see it, you know that it's Venom. Looking back, did you ever think that such a simple design would become such a historical emblem in metal?
Was the man that designed it?
Probably not. I mean, all of the logos before that, AC/DC and Motorhead, and were all of a kind of an existing font, Gothic, English, Gothic, you know, this kind of stuff. To do a logo which was difficult for people to read, and it was probably the first one. There was a kind of a hidden name within a logo. Was kind of deliberate. So personally, when I did that piece of artwork, I didn't expect it to become iconic, or, you know, of its type, and I didn't expect people to kind of copy that and take that further. But then again, when we did black metal, we didn't expect that the black metal genre would go where it was, where it's gone. It's Scandinavia, you know. So it's as a logo, I guess it's iconic as being the first of that type. And you see it and you instantly think of this band, you know, whichever culmination of the band you think of the band. So it does what it was set out to do, I guess. Yeah, it works for us.
And I think that's true of you know, the go to black metalhead and things like that. You know, it's like you know, if ever you see a gold pentagram, I mean, that's iconic with Welcome to Hell. Everybody's used it since then, but because of the imagery, you know, and it's kind of like Motorhead Snaggletooth, you know, you only need to see that image and you know what that is, you know, immediately. And if you couldn't read the word Venom, you know instinctually by the design of the logo that's who it is. You know, it's quite remarkable to have something like that.
So looking back at your career, did you think that you would be here today and just be in the position that you're in?
Me, probably not, no. I thought that I kind of vanished from the music scene for a long time, and I kind of figured that that was the input that I had personally, that was about as much as I wanted to. I didn't want to join any other bands. I wasn't really interested in playing any other music. I like being in this band. I like being part of this band. And when the offer came along to go and do a handful of songs, I'd keep it true. It was a no-brainer. Yeah, of course, I'd love to do that again. Thinking it'll be a one-off, we'll have a blast, we'll have a drink and we'll go home. Didn't expect it to spill into this kind of longevity again, but it's been very cool. It's like putting on an old pair of shoes. It's very comfortable. It's, to be fair, it's pretty easy. It's not, you know, it's not a grind every night. There's no real tension. There's just great songs, great time. Basically, we're in a fucking bus. It's a party that's going from place to place. Yeah. And if anybody wants to join the party, they're very welcome, you know. And it's just that's what we do, you know. So it's very easy to put this person on and go and play every night. It's very easy to do.
But even I thought about that. Even after so long of not doing it together, you know, we went from playing 5 shows at the festival just for some fun to almost a month later doing, you know, 30 odd dates non-stop in Europe, in, I don't know, 15, 16 countries.
I personally wasn't sure I could do that.
Yeah.
We didn't even do that with Venom the first time around.
No, we've done
Just the hard gig after gig after gig after gig and no days off.
Yeah.
I didn't know how physically I'd be. I mean, I'm more than 25 now, so
26.
I'm just
now.
over 25. So it's
not 26, but
in the
25 and a bit.
in the last year of this being together. I mean, it came together in April of last year, so we're just over a year now. We've done more shows in that year than we did in the entire Venom history.
all the way through What in Hell,
All
Black
the way
Metal,
through.
all the singles,
All the heyday.
War with, Possessed, all of that era. We've done more in a year,
Yeah.
and we've been in front of more people. So, you know, and we're still doing it, and we're going to carry on doing it. There's no reason to stop.
So what's next for Venom Inc?
Well, we fly out. We've still got to go to New Orleans, more dates in Texas and Orlando, and then we play Spartanburg is the last date, South Carolina, and then we fly home, and then we have in Flamin and a couple of festivals, a British festival, and then the idea is to try and get to the studio in Lake Como to get the album into shape while we're still flitting back and forward doing festivals, and hopefully if we get the album into shape where it's mastered, we then are straight onto a European tour. I think October we're playing some shows with Slayer, you know, we're talking about some Metallica dates, but we've got India desperate to get us there, Asia, Malaysia, Australia, Japan, back to Japan, China, back to
all
China.
places ending in A, really.
And there's I'm trying to think of one now.
Afghanistan,
Austria,
Afghanistan,
and then
Kazakhstan,
and then you know, I wanted to try and get us to
Timbuktu,
South America, because we have Chile, Colombia, Peru, Argentina, and back to Brazil. Who want us
Brazil, yeah.
trying to get us there towards the end of the year, but that might have to flip into next year. I mean, it's kind of it's great chaos, but it's chaos that we're sticking together and ploughing through it. Certainly not something to complain about, but busy, absolutely busy. You know, it comes to something where you've got to make sure you set dates that you're not going to do anything on just to have a break, you know, because we don't get like vacation. We're not playing at the moment, and even when